She's been quiet for most of the trip, her eyes hollow and red with grief. Now, she glances uncomfortably around the elector's jet. It's a luxurious space, its rounded ceiling high, and its sides lined with smooth couches and chairs. Behind us, 2 full-length beds with thick curtains draped over them bookend the back of the plane, along with a bathroom that rivals the one in our apartment. Her gaze settles again and again on the elector, who sits at the other end near the front of the plane and talks in low voices with June. Daniel lounges beside her, his face trained idly on the scene outside the windows. Despite his attempts to look like he's not paying attention to what they're saying, I can tell he's taking in every bit of it. Just like how he's noticing where I am right now and what I'm doing, even though he'd never show it. Press's eyes dart briefly to my schematics, then up to me. "You're gonna need to rest if you want to make any more progress, you know," she finally murmurs. "You've been at it non-stop for the entire flight." "I know." I rub my blurry eyes. The level system was destroyed because of me. My own engine powered that machine, and I just let it happen. I have to figure this out. Her eyes soften at me. "This wasn't your fault." "Wasn't it, though?" I put my cup down in disgust. "I never should have taken you to the drone race." "What choice did you have?" I say gently. "You were trying to help your father. And instead, I gave Han the last piece of the puzzle that he needed." And now, Mr. Yu was gone. I see fresh pain cross Press's face and bury my head in my hands. Numbers and blueprints crowd my exhausted mind. Finally, Pressa shakes her head. "Han would have gotten it somehow, with or without you. He couldn't have moved as fast as he did otherwise." She leans her elbows against the table between us. "How long must it have taken him to set that up? Months? Years?" I flip incessantly through my useless sketches. Long enough that no one noticed him building up that kind of infrastructure. The only consolation I have is that at least he did use a part of something I created. It gives me some starting point to try to figure out the rest of this puzzle. At least. But there isn't much time for that. As I think about Han, I feel a strange tug in my chest of something uncertain. The memory of the man's grave eyes comes back to me, along with the story he told me about what happened to his family. "You remind me of my son." Those words of his shouldn't stick with me. For all I know, they could be a lie. But the grief in his eyes as he said them. He'd let my brother go. He'd let me go. He'd taken down the very system that Daniel had argued against to his superiors, that I'd hated and defied every chance I could get. It's his fault that Press's dad is dead, I try to remind myself. But was it Han who had killed him? Or Ross City's system? The plane dips slightly, and an announcement from our captain comes on the speakers. I pause to glance out the window and see a familiar outline of land emerging beneath the clouds. The curve of California's coast. Suddenly, thoughts of Han dull as I realize that we are now officially over the waters of the Republic. On the other side of the plane, Daniel stiffens at the sight and straightens in his seat. For a brief moment, his eyes flicker to mine. I remember the last time we'd visited, how uncomfortable he'd been to return to our homeland. Now, we're back, and the Republic is strangely our savior. Half an hour later, we've emerged from the plane and are headed down the ramparts. I follow quietly behind June and the Elector. Beside me, Pressa clings tightly to my arm as she studies the entrance into Los Angeles' airport. Everything looks so different here, as if we'd gone back in time to a different era. Towering, brutal columns draped with bold banners of red and black heralding the Elector's return to his country. Tall, harsh rectangular windows, no augmented overlays or hovering digital images. Daniel is also unusually silent, his head lowered and his hands shoved into his pockets. Republic soldiers in familiar formal red and black uniforms snap to attention as we pass by. I can see my brother flinch slightly when they move.